Hi everyone. I wanted to post a quick video after having graded all the reports that were submitted in Unit 6. I want to say up front that I know UO people doesn't really focus on statistical analysis, and from what I understand from talking with others, that is quite common. Many people, myself included, have had to take a step back and take a statistics class, either while they're working on the report or take a break from, master's program or doctorate program to take the statistics class. So if you're struggling with that analysis, I completely get it. Hopefully by this time you've found a good resource or two, whether that's YouTube videos or books or blogs, whatever, that will help you understand how and why we need to do that hard analysis. I will say that many of the reports did not include information on the analysis. In fact, some of you said, I know my findings are valid because I had another person look at them, or I hope they're valid because I really tried, or whatever, and you can't do that. So that's one big reason I'm posting this video, is you cannot just say my findings are valid because I followed protocols. You have to perform at least a t-test. If you have quantitative data, if you have qualitative data, you must code the responses and then put them into themes. So I saw that as lacking in many of the reports, and my heartburn with that is because I have a couple of what I think are very helpful posts in the course forum about the analysis that you have to do, and I provided some resources. So if you didn't have that hard analysis, I mentioned that in my response to you, and I will not pass a paper that doesn't have true analysis, whether it's statistical or qualitative coding, to prove that your results matter. So, if you gave a pre-test and the kids, missed 10 problems, and then in your intervention, you instructed them in the right processes, and then in the post-test, they only missed 5. Okay, and you say, that's significant, that's really good. Well, it could be, but the t-test is going to tell you whether that improvement is related to your intervention, or if it seems like it just could have happened by chance. Or, maybe they got better because it was 4 weeks later and they just knew more. Or maybe, it got worse because they were tired. Who knows? But the t-test is the hard statistical analysis that will tell you whether your intervention is viable. Now, if your t-test says, it looks like, based on the data you put into the formula, that this just happened by chance, okay, maybe you decide to keep with the intervention because you feel like it worked. That's okay, but you cannot go forward and tell people this intervention is evidence-based for improvement. So keep that in mind. You have, a week and a half left to do that analysis, and really it doesn't take that long. The qualitative coding can, but I didn't see anybody with 100 responses. If you had 10 participants, that coding is going to go fairly quickly, and your themes will bounce out at you. And it was interesting, I cannot remember now, but it was one of the later ones I've graded, mentioned as they were coding, the themes just jumped out at them. And I just love hearing that, because that really is how it works. But you have to invest the time in that strict analysis. The other part is Several of the studies did not have an intervention. There was no before and after. There was just a collection of information. And when I read your proposals, I approached it from the mindset that you had an intervention planned, because your proposal should not have been accepted if you didn't have I'm going to do this before, and then I'm going to put in the intervention, and then I'm going to collect data and see if that intervention worked. But many of you just collected information, and that's great, but it doesn't really mean anything. So if you again, just gave a test and collected scores and asked the kids, sorry that I've got a wild child in the bathroom, if you heard that. But if you collected data and then you interviewed the students and they said, yeah, I really like that, I like that use of software, it doesn't mean anything. I mean, it's interesting, I guess, good for you to know, but it doesn't prove that what you did is of any value. So, I've thought a lot about it. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do. I've got an email into the director or the chair of education to ask if I should pass a study that does not have an intervention, because that's a research study. You saw a problem, you implemented a fix, what we call an intervention, and then you collected data to see if that intervention worked. If you went to the doctor and they said, well, how you feeling? Well, I got a headache and an earache. Okay. And they reported it. That's of no value. That's just information. So what they do is you go and say, I have a headache and an earache, and they give you an antibiotic, and then they say, come back and let me know how you feel, because they gave you an intervention. So if you don't have an intervention, I don't want you to worry, but there's a chance that I'm not going to be able to pass your study. Now, that said, you did get your proposal approved, so I have to take that into consideration. But what I will do is look very closely at your proposal and see if there was an intervention design, which there should have been, and if there were, and you didn't do an intervention, then you don't pass. But again, I've got a note in for the department chair. It's the weekend, so I may not hear back from her. But those were the two things. I just didn't see a lot of true analysis done, other than, wow, yeah, I see that, kids responded favorably. That's not scientific. And then just no intervention at all, just a collection of information. Also, there are still a lot of APA errors, and I'm not going to fail a paper because of APA, but I don't like signing off on a paper where things aren't formatted, because you have my name on that study, on that report. And so just for my own self pride, I guess, I don't want to release into the wild a paper that's not, at least doesn't have references and tables formatted correctly, because those two things are pretty big, pretty noticeable. So otherwise, everybody used the template, which is good. Sometimes I get reports where things are all in different paragraphs, and I can't have that. But otherwise, I don't want to sound disappointed. I'm just concerned that those two big things are lacking, and I'm not sure why. This is the first term I've ever seen where there's no as much negligence in analysis and study design. So please get with me if you have any questions or concerns. I have some time, although my family's going to be here, but they understand if we need to meet over Teams so I can help you. I am certainly willing to do that outside of when I'm engaged with my family. And then sometimes during the weekdays I can meet with you, although I would assume you want to get this taken care of as soon as you can. So if you need me, let me know as soon as possible. Please look at the course forum because I've given you some very good sources to help you with the statistical analysis. With the intervention, maybe you did an intervention and you didn't write it very well or write about it very well, so I'm not picking up on it. I'm not really sure. But wherever your failings were, I put in the feedback, either in the grading feedback or in the document that I uploaded for you. I put some comments. All right, so with that, I'm going to say goodbye. If I don't talk to you, I hope you have a very happy new year, and 2024 is going to be a great year because you're going to get a piece of paper that says you're a Master of Education. All right, so like I said, let me know as soon as possible if you have any questions or concerns. Otherwise, Happy New Year.